Rock and Roll Geek Show 868.
Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name is Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today's Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, and it is 6:22 p.m. when I'm doing this episode. I'd planned on doing a show either Monday or Wednesday this week, and here it is Wednesday. I'm doing a show. I had a show all lined up. I prepared it on Monday because I had a Mad at Dad last night. Pardon me, I'm burping up this fine Tecate. I'm speaking of that. I better open up another one. Second Tecate of the day, pardon me. Oh, that's good. All right. So anyway, I prepared a show on Monday night to do a show tonight. I had it all lined. I had everything I was going to talk about, and I had a couple show reviews. One from Eric Mortensen, one from Steve Trice, a few other things. I had also some good songs I was going to play for you. All ready to go for Wednesday night, and then I just happened to check my email today, and I got an email from friend of the show and donor of the show, longtime donor, Dave Franco. He sent me this email and said, longtime donor, Dave Franco, just curious what you think. And he sent me a link to, or a tweet from Ultimate Classic Rock, and the tweet is, I hate that word, the tweet. The tweet is a link to an article they did, UFO, worst to best, albums ranked worst to best. I believe Ultimate Classic Rock did the Alice Cooper one too, and I did a show on that one. I compared notes of their Alice Cooper albums ranked worst to best. And, well, they just posted one today, UFO albums worst to best. Did they just post that? Actually, no. This came out in March of 2017, so a little late to it. I don't know. The tweet just came out. Just posted the tweet. I never saw this article, but Dave Franco sent me the link, and I thought, I should probably do this. Thinking maybe I should beat Eddie Trunk to the punch, but since it's 2017, who gives a shit, right? Anyway, does UFO have an album out since 2017? No, they did that covers album, so it's kind of current. So I figured what I would do tonight, I will do the UFO albums ranked worst to best tonight, and I will put off the show I had planned either to Friday or Saturday. And since it's been so long since I've done a show, I figured I'll have two shows this week. So what better way to knock out two shows? All right, long way to go, but I just lost my place from the Ultimate Classic Rock. So I'm going to have to pull up the tweet again, or the link from Dave Franco. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. Thank you to everybody who donates to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. I will thank you all personally on the next show, either Friday or Saturday. That will be me sitting around getting drunk and playing some tunes and playing some audio comments and things like that. Just a normal classic train wreck episode. But tonight, UFO albums ranked worst to best. All right, you ready to get it started? Well, let's just get right into it. Why not? So, I will read you the intro from ultimateclassicrock.com. The irony of attempting to rank UFO studio discography from worst to best isn't lost on us. After all, these English hard rockers, much like Kiss, Cheap Trick, and Thin Lizzy, among others, are one of those bands whose generally acknowledged magnum opus, 1979's seminal Strangers in the Night, in this case, is in fact a live album. I guess they're right on that. Kiss Alive, Budokan, Live and Dangerous. Yeah, and UFO's most infamous album is Strangers in the Night, which is one of the greatest live albums ever made. If you listen to the my top 10 live albums. I believe it was up there in the top 3, I think. But that doesn't diminish the enduring fascination with and endless debates and disagreements about UFO's eventful career over the past half century. Has they been together 50 years? Primarily, let me see, they started in 70. That would be 80, 90, almost 50 years, 48 years, huh? Is that right? I don't know, math is not my forte, as you know, but it's close enough. That doesn't diminish the enduring fascination with and endless debates and disagreement about UFO's eventful career over the past half century, primarily in respect to the astonishing number of talented guitarists who have passed through their ranks. It doesn't put a dent into the considerable hard rock canon represented by UFO's 21st studio album or 21 studio albums over that span either, as they quickly ditched their space rock beginnings to help define British hard rock for much of the 70s, parts of the 80s, and then carry on the flame into the 90s, aughts, and tens. Is that how you say the 2010s? So whether you endorse Michael Schenker, Vinnie Moore, Paul Chapman, or even Mick Bolton, Lawrence Archer, and Atomic Tommy K, we know everyone can agree on Phil Mogg, Pete Way, Paul Raymond, and Andy Parker, as well as many other short-term UFO albums. Strap yourself in and prepare for a blast-off as we look at UFO albums ranked worst to best. All right. They wrote that, not me. All right, so let's strap ourselves in, friends, and we're going to go through. We're going to compare notes. So they have 21 albums, according to Ultimate Classic Rock, not counting the covers album. But take a sip of this fine Tecate before we get started. And let me pull up my UFO discography in my iTunes. So they rank number 21. The worst UFO album of all of their studio albums is Seven Deadly. Having gradually, Seven Deadly is their, let's see, that came out in 2012. That was their 20th album. Is that right? Yes, that's right. 20th album. Well, it was their 20th album, and including the covers album, Salentino Cuts, they have 22 albums. So we're not including that one. So that is their 20th album with Vinnie Moore on guitar. Who's on this album? It is Phil Mogg on vocals, Vinnie Moore lead guitar, Paul Raymond keyboards, Lars Lehman on bass, who I don't know who that, pardon me, on Bourbon is Fine Tecate. I don't know who that is. I'm guessing he's a session guy in England. And Andy Parker on drums. I don't know this album, but let's hear what they say. Because I kind of got off the UFO train a long time ago. Because to me, when Vinnie Moore came into the band, he simultaneously, if you can believe this, in my opinion, he kind of simultaneously, I guess that's a word, simultaneously saved and killed UFO. If he breathed life back into the band, but once he found his way into the band and settled himself in and became one of the longtime members of the band, he started putting that Shredmeister shit in there, and it's, to me, UFO with shredding guitars is not UFO. But what do they say about Seven Deadly? Having gradually found stability again after the musical missteps and personal upheavals of the second Michael Schenker era, UFO were in no mood to experiment or even get cute on their 20th album, Seven Deadly. The album is the definition of competent mediocrity, neither willing to offend nor impress. It's a shame about the cover art. The cover art it's kind of like one of those Mexican Day of the Dead type art things. You know how they had the skulls and stuff, and it's all psychedelic and butterflies and yeah, it's not the worst album cover, but it's not the greatest either. What is on Seven Deadly? Let me see if I can find Seven Deadly. I'm pretty sure I have that on my discography. I have everyone except Conspiracy of Stars, I think, which I probably have that on CD, but I don't have it in my iTunes. Let's see. Seven Deadly, Wonderland. Let's listen to a little bit of Wonderland. That is a ripoff of Thin Lizzy's Are You Ready to Rock? Are You Ready to Roll? Cold Sweat.
Dancing roadhouse on German plains, a field of moons and thundering trains. I want the monkey.
On all of the albums, Phil Mogg sounds great, but the shredding of Vinnie Moore I can't get into, and the songs are just kind of a generic. I think Vinnie Moore is a way overrated guitar player. Right, let's get into the solo.
If you got the monkey, damn if you do it, damn if you don't.
This song doesn't suck. It's not horrible. Let's try to find the solo here. Get it to the solo. All right, Vinny, let's hear how much you suck. Is there even a solo in this? Oh, here we go. Not the worst Vinnie Moore solo. It's a little bit. Sometimes Vinnie Moore, because when he first got into the band, which I'm assuming they'll get into that album, but he was kind of true to Paul Chapman and Michael Schenker, but this is kind of like that. It's still a little bit. Oh, still going. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Not worst album. Yeah, I'd probably put all of Vinnie Moore's albums in the bottom of the list, but all right. Well, that's number 21 according to Ultimate Classic Rock. Seven Deadly. Number 20, an album from 1985 called Misdemeanor. If you're not a UFO fan, you might want to skip this episode, friends, but UFO is one of my favorite bands of all time. And as you know, Pete Way, my favorite bass player of all time. All right. So anyway, 1985, Misdemeanor. They ranked this album number 20. This album, they brought in a Bay Area guitar player, an Asian guy named Atomic Tommy K. I remember this album. It's got one of the best album covers of all time in my it's one of my favorite. I don't say it's the best, but it's one of my favorite album covers. It's got a little girl or a young girl, very attractive girl too, on the cover. And she's holding a big gun, and she's got a cowboy tattoo on her forearm, and she's dressed like a little schoolgirl with a bandana type dress on, and she's got the gun in her hand, and it's a great. I just think it's a great album cover. What's wrong with this album is the absolutely fucking horrible production on it. There's a few good songs, but the production is just terrible. Here's what they say about it. By 1985's Misdemeanor, UFO, like many of their classic rock peers. Oh, by the way, Pete Way was gone at this time, and Paul Gray from Eddie and the Hot Rods and the Damned took over on bass. By 1985's Misdemeanor, UFO, like many of their classic rock peers, had been tragically infected by 80s studio disease, a grotesque but common affliction that covered its victim in sonic warts like synthesizers, triggered snare drums, and squeaky guitars. At the time, UFO's prognosis was bleak, but the band recovered from these ailments in due time. But there are some good songs in this album. Listen to this song, Night Run. It's a catchy as hell tune, but the production is what kills it. But God bless Phil Mogg for trying to keep the band going.
Love me tender, love me true. Ooh, baby, what a song could do.
Atomic Tommy K, absolutely the wrong guitar player for UFO. Wait, he was a shred master and didn't fit the band at all.
Billy was one of a kind. Growing up and running wild. We could take a sunset and make it real. Stood together on the edge of a night. Used to be friends, brothers for life. And we have seen the night run. It's 1,000 miles away. Yes, we have seen the night run. Pass us by in just one day.
Did I say Atomic? I thought his name was Atomic Tommy K, but they have it as Atomic Tommy M. I'm going to have to look on my vinyl of that. His real name is Tommy McClendon. Anyway, this song is catchy, a very catchy chorus. At least the production kills it.
We put some magic in this night. Oh, feels so right. Came across your photograph. Everything was just a laugh.
I will let it get past the solo.
When you reach the end,
Those drums are just absolutely horrible.
explode. With a hand on my heart, we'll down the road. And we have seen the night run.
And that's $1 million chorus, though.
Miles away. Yes, we have seen a lifetime pass us by in just one day. And we have seen the night run. It's 1,000 miles away. Yes, we have seen the night run. Pass us by in just one day.
Horrible guitar tone.
Big city lights, they fade and they go. Alone with yourself, you know. Some people give up and lose the fight.
Oh, still a catchy tune.
Moving night after night after. And we have seen.
A great tune. Horrible production. Great tune. I wouldn't put that album as their second worst, but they were the second worst. I would put it below. I would put it above all of the Vinnie Moore albums, and then after that it would be the worst. If that makes any sense. All right, number 19, album from 2006, the last album with Pete Way. High Stakes and Dangerous Men. This is, let's see. Who is on High Stakes and... wait a minute. No, I meant, sorry. Monkey Puzzle. Not High Stakes and Dangerous Men. Monkey Puzzle. This is the last album with Pete Way on it. Is that right? No. Takes 18. The night, although its cryptic title didn't exactly... Who's on the Monkey Puzzle? Yeah, it actually is the last album with Pete Way. Returned, Andy Parker comes back into the band. It's 2006. Andy Parker, the drummer, comes back into UFO, and it's the last album with Pete Way. Vinnie Moore on guitars. So that should tell you how Vinnie Moore, Paul Raymond, Pete Way, and Andy Parker. So all of the classic lineup except for Vinnie Moore. Monkey Puzzle. Let's hear a little bit of Monkey. What did they say about Monkey Puzzle here? Although its cryptic title didn't exactly reassure the band's aging and increasingly nervous fan base, was the fan base nervous? I don't know. I was kind of off the UFO wagon once Vinnie Moore joined. The Monkey Puzzle seemed committed to checking all the mandatory UFO formulas. In fact, one gets the feeling that the band was grappling almost too gingerly with its legacy, petrified of breaking something just as it was starting to validate its existence without you-know-who, which they did, but not quite yet on this unimpressive LP. The Monkey Puzzle, let's just listen to a little bit of the first song, Monkey Puzzle. Hard Being Me. Hard Being Me. This song doesn't suck.
Can you hear that? We ain't about a quick boy. The band's back in town. Alright. Oh, yeah.
I think Pete Way, the videos I've seen from this era, I don't think I saw them on this tour, but he was in pretty bad shape, bloated as hell.
Show me the top. Show me a woman that just can't stop. Hey, baby, set me free.
It's got Pete Way songwriting all over it.
I'm stuck down here in the cellar. I got a shotgun in my hand. Somewhere my baby's going blind, yeah. And it's so hard being me, hard being me. I'm dizzy like a monkey on a tree. Hard being me, it's hard being me. I'm a crazy man like
All right. Not a horrible song. Okay. That is number 19. Number 18 from 1992, High Stakes and Dangerous Men. It took UFO almost 5 years to dare show their faces again following the debacle of 1985's Misdemeanor, but Phil Mogg and a returning Pete Way. Well, Pete Way comes back into the band at this time. I remember him writing about this period. Initiated the band's comeback with 1992's proficient but still flawed High Stakes and Dangerous Men. Caught between the 80s, 90s, and 80s and 90s, UFO were still abusing synthesizers, but new recruit Lawrence Archer brought back the band's muscle and a small measure of respectability. Lawrence Archer was in... he was in the band with Phil Lynott, Grand Slam, and also Wild Horses, which also the bass player from Dio's band. What was his name? Why can't I think of him? Because I love that bass player too. The guy who's dead now. Oh God, why can't I think of his name? Great bass player. Wore black leather pants all the time. It'll come to me. I forget. It'll come to me. I will remember it eventually. But Lawrence Archer, I think this album is probably a little underrated. High Stakes and Dangerous Men. Let me find it on the iTunes here. A little borderline from High Stakes and Dangerous Men. Lawrence Archer, good guitar player, I think. Little filler intro. Jimmy Bain is his name. Finally came to me.
Till I rising across the plains, figure streaking like a hellbound train. I smuggle whiskey, I smuggle gin. Where there's a need, well, I just truck on in. I'm a gambling man, son of a gun. I'll take the risks now, baby, I'll make the run. Wanna get home now, back in the saddle. Ain't gonna drive this kind of rainy cattle, no. Daylight's rising across the
right, there's Borderline, High Stakes and Dangerous Men. If anybody knows what Lawrence Archer is doing now, let me know. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. That guy was a good guitar player, I thought. I forgot he was even in that band. He was in a band for a very short period of time. And I was kind of, again, off, not really that following UFO at the time. But shortly after that, they reunited with Shaker. And I went to that tour, but I'll talk about that when they get to that album. So number 17 on the ranked worst to best is an album with Michael Schenker called Covenant from 2000. Michael Schenker's on Covenant, right? Yes. It is the 15th album by UFO. Saw the return. So Michael Schenker comes back on Walk on Water. Left the band in the middle of the Walk on Water tour. I saw that tour at the Edge in Palo Alto. Went with all the guys in American Heartbreak, I think. And was American? No, it was the guys when I was in Mind Zone, possibly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I geeked out on Pete Way because it was the classic lineup reunited. But anyway, Michael Schenker left during that tour, and this is all in Pete Way's book too. This is why Phil Mogg will never work with Michael Schenker again, because he kept leaving the band all the time. But anyway, he came back into the band for Covenant, and it is, according to Ultimate Classic Rock, their 17th worst album. Let's see what's on Covenant here. Check a dictionary and you'll learn that covenant is just another word for contract. And there was definitely a sense of enforced reconciliation about this latest Phil Mogg, Michael Schenker, Pete Way collaboration. This time with the legendary Ansley Dunbar on drums. Sure enough, most of these workmanlike songs had no spark whatsoever. But when the old magic was rekindled, UFO's long-suffering fans just couldn't stay away. All right, so let's listen to a little bit of first tune, Love Is Forever. Yeah, I would imagine that Schenker was probably threatening to be sued or something and didn't really want to be back, or maybe just needed the money. Yeah, first tune on the album, not very catchy. So, I would have put Covenant a little bit lower. I would have probably put that slightly above. I would have put that the first one above Misdemeanor. So all the Vinnie Moore ones below that, below Misdemeanor, and above Misdemeanor, Covenant. So number six. Better take a sip of this fine Tecate because I'm losing my voice. Or maybe I have Tecate lodged in my voice. So number 16, Making Contact, 1983. Pete Way leaves UFO. Paul Chapman's still in the band. This is after, I believe this album is after Mechanics, which is one of my favorite UFO albums. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. After Mechanics, 1983, they put out Making Contact. Pete Way leaves the band to form Fastway. Paul Chapman's still in the band. Who else is in the band? Paul Gray, I think, toured with him on this tour, but I don't remember exactly. But he came into the band shortly after, but he's not on this album. The album is Phil Mogg, Paul Chapman. Paul Chapman played bass on this album, so you get the guitars and the bass. Neil Carter came in. Paul Raymond was gone. I think Neil Carter came in on Mechanics, if I'm not mistaken. And Andy Parker's still on drums. This album, not a great album. I would put this one above Covenant, but yeah. Not much farther above. Let's find a song from Making Contact here. Let's find Making Contact on the iTunes. Might as well start off with Blinded by a Lie. Most of the songs written by Neil Carter, the keyboard player, and Phil Mogg. Not a horrible tune. Not great production. Yeah, when Pete Way left, they probably should have taken a couple years off, but they probably needed the money.
Really couldn't see. Blinded by
Not a horrible song. Not a great tune either. I think everybody was jumping off the UFO bandwagon around Making Contact, so they probably should have regrouped and figured out what they were going to do. So number 15 on the Ultimate Classic Rock. I hope you're with me on this UFO thing here. Number 15 on Ultimate Classic Rock's worst to best UFO albums, A Conspiracy of Stars, which I do not have, so I have to play it on the Amazon Music. It's hard to believe that UFO's 21st this is the last one. That's right. No wonder I don't have it. It's hard to believe that UFO's 21st studio album of Conspiracy of Stars was already their fifth with guitarist Vinnie Moore. But it was, and the Phil Mogg-Moore songwriting partnership had, as a result, become a well-oiled machine. A predictable one as well, but despite playing it pretty safe from start to finish on this album, faithful fans were rewarded with solid offerings like The Killing Kind and Ballad of the Left-Hand Gun. I would imagine Chuck Spear would tell me that this album is quality album, but let's listen to a little bit of The Killing. Actually, let's listen to a little bit of Run Boy Run. Listen to that horrible guitar. I'd probably put this way down, way down.
Hey, Mr. Fanciful, Mr. Chill, who let you in now? How'd you get here? Mr. Coxon, Mr. Change Face, first in the trough.
Number 15, I would put it lower than that. Shit, I would say Misdemeanor's better than this. In the band, Vinnie Moore on guitar, Phil Mogg vocals, Paul Raymond keyboards, Rob DeLuca on bass, the guy they tour with, and Andy Parker on drums. Yeah. No thank you. I will pass on this album, Conspiracy of Stars. All right. Number 14. UFO 2, Flying, 1 Hour Space Rock from 1971, UFO's second album. Yeah, I don't know about the first two UFO albums. I hardly consider them even UFO albums because they don't even sound like UFO. But I would probably put these albums I'd probably put both of the first two UFO psychedelic sounding albums above the Vinnie Moore, and Misdemeanor probably above them. So UFO 2. Flying. After receiving mixed reviews for their debut, UFO doubled down on their space rock excesses on this bloated sophomore album featuring 19-minute jam. They got a 19-minute song on this album. Starstorm is a 19-minute tune. And a 26-minute freak out on the title cut. Flying, 26 minutes and 35 seconds long. Both songs were stretched that far by means of a lot of unnecessary instrumental noodling, but a trio of shorter tunes, headlined by the nifty Prince Kajuku, spared the sanity of daring voyagers. And they give this one number 14, huh? Let's see who's in the band on this album. It's Pete Way on bass. Is it Andy Parker on drums? Let me look at the Wikipedia here. Andy Parker on drums, Phil Mogg on vocals, and Mick Bolton on guitar. Not to be confused with Michael Bolton. I don't think that was the same guy, right? All right, let's listen to a little bit of the first album, a song, Silver Bird. I can't really get into this album. Just too space music for me. They definitely had not, they were still looking for their way on this. I don't know. I think they gave it so high of a ranking just because they wanted to seem like they had rock credibility.
A big silver bird banging itself into the ground. Being the kind of person who isn't very easily alarmed. He's had to take a walk, see just what I could find. Walked around the walls.
All right, that's probably the best song in the album. So, number 13. You Are Here from 2004. I think this is the first album with Vinnie Moore in the band. And the first album with Vinnie Moore is probably the best because he didn't want to make waves and he didn't want to come out shredding and doing all the goofy guitar shit. So I would imagine he was trying to fit in a lot more. So stayed it to more of a combination of Paul Chapman and Michael Schenker. Let's see, You Are Here. Let me find that. Do I have You Are Here? Yes, I do. Let's take it from the top. Let's see what they say about it. UFO embarked on a new chapter in their storied career with 2004's You Are Here, which Phil Mogg, Pete Way, and Paul Raymond welcomed six-string whiz Vinnie Moore, and for a brief time, Jason Bonham. And wouldn't you know, nobody died or self-combusted on stage. I don't get that. I guess the Spinal Tap reference. Rather, the retooled UFO confirmed their viability to move forward with characteristic flair for honest hard rock, particularly on The Wild One and the thoughtful Slipping Away. All right, let's listen to a little bit of The Wild One. I believe when I interviewed Pete Way, he didn't have too many good things to say about Vinnie Moore's playing. Not great. I would put it as probably the best of the Vinnie Moore UFO albums. I'm sure that Chuck Spear again will disagree with me, but yeah, Vinnie Moore. I just can't get into the Vinnie Moore UFO. I saw him last time they came. Cristo Grande, pardon me, on Bourbon is Fine Tecate. Took me to see them at open. It was them and Saxon at the Independent, and it wasn't very good. Vinnie Moore just killed that band for me. They were playing everything too slow, and they just seemed bored. All right, so anyway, number 12 on Ultimate Classic Rock's Worst to Best, Sharks, 2002. So Michael Schenker comes back for High Stakes and Dangerous Men, comes back for Walk on Water, leaves during that tour. They get him back in the band for Covenant, and then they do another album in 2002, Sharks, and he leaves the band after this album. This is his last album with Michael Schenker, and I think to never return again, I believe. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, get it, Sharks. 2002 Sharks did spawn a handful of memorable cuts, including the anthemic Quicksilver Rider and Hypnotic, Someone's Gonna Have to Pay, but the always combustible relationship between Phil Mogg, Pete Way, and Michael Schenker was reaching the breaking point yet again, meaning the guitarist was losing interest and simply wasn't on top of his game, meaning he was only mildly spectacular. Yeah, Pete Way tried to keep Schenker, he tried to keep that lineup together, and Phil Mogg just didn't like Michael Schenker, and I imagine they still don't. So on Sharks, Phil Mogg, Michael Schenker, Pete Way, and Ansley Dunbar on drums. All right, what do we want to hear from a little bit from Sharks? Let me pull it up in the iTunes here. Da 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 da. What did they say was the anthemic song? Anthemic Quicksilver Rider. All right, let's listen to a little bit of Quicksilver Rider from Sharks. I would definitely not call this song anthemic. I would call that song a piece of shit, if you really want to know the truth. All right. Number 11, Ultimate Classic Rock, No Place to Run. I would give it a lot higher than number 11. This is the first one with isn't this the first one with Paul Chapman in the band? This album is fucking great. Come on. The first one after Obsession. Michael Schenker leaves during Obsession tour when they're mixing, during the Obsession tour, they're mixing or doing some overdubs on the live album, and he leaves the band but the Obsession was his last album. And I saw UFO on that tour, Obsession tour, and Michael Schenker was in the band. And he left shortly after that, like in the middle of that tour, I believe, because I think they were working on Strangers of the Night during that tour. When I was playing with Ginger down in L.A., if I can name drop, Mike Klink produced that song that we did, and he comes into our rehearsal studio, and I said, Mike Klink, I do not care one bit about Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Obsession, that's what I care about, my friend. And he said something to the effect of, don't you dare say anything bad about Appetite for Destruction because I got rich off that album, or something to that effect. But anyway, Schenker leaves. Paul Chapman comes into the band. They record No Place to Run. What a fucking album, man. What a fucking... Before we even see what they have to say about, listen to this. Come on. You better believe it, man. what do they say about it? It wasn't a categorical slam dunk of a record, but 1980's No Place to Run clearly demonstrated that UFO were not about to let their departed Teutonic guitar heroes steal away their mojo. Instead, sinewy hard rockers like Letting Go, which you're hearing now, Youngblood, and the mandatory ballad Take It or Leave It. It's about Take It or Leave It. That's a good one, too. Great ballad. UFO had the great power ballads, man. Ugh, listen to this. Attested to the band's resilience while showcasing New Man Chapman's own blistering technique. Itself, nothing to scoff at. Watch out, kids. UFO are back. This album is great. And the album cover. They're standing in front of a gas station pumps. This was like during the, kind of during the gas crisis shit. Pete Way looking cool as a motherfucker wearing a leopard print blazer with his legs spread. This album is fucking great. Come on. Take it all! Oh, I can't stop singing along! Or leave me alone. Yeah, this album is fucking... Should have been a lot higher than number 11. You gotta be kidding me. They put number 10, The Visitor, above No Place to Run. Are you guys out of your fucking minds? Come on. What do they say about The Visitor? Do I have The Visitor? They gotta be fucking kidding me. The Visitor, above No Place to Run. Holy shit. Ugh. Now I'm pissed. Do I have The Visitor? Hold on a second. Let me pause this and look for The Visitor. I know I got it. All right. Yeah, I found it. All right. So what do they say about The Visitor? Who's on The Visitor, by the way? Phil Mogg, Vinnie Moore, Andy Parker, and Paul Raymond. Peter Pischel on bass guitar, who I would imagine is a session guy. You gotta be fucking kidding me. This album, I've never even listened to it. How can I say it's bad? I've never even heard it, but I probably gave it one listen. Just listen to a little bit of the first tune. You got better than the song you just heard? Vinnie Moore's bluesy slide guitar on Saving Me gives The Visitor a fresh, unexpected introduction, and On the Waterfront finds Phil Mogg moaning like he's David Coverdale. All of it signaling one of UFO's most intriguing later-day LPs.
Some men come from nothing, some men will not bend.
Never fear, though, because the blue-collar rockers like Hell Driver and Villains and Thieves show the soul of UFO is alive and well, and a little frisky, too. A little Hell Driver. No way is that better than No Place to Run. No fucking way.
Got rides down to Mexico. Got no friends and no one to know. A cactus sign at the end of the street. Mariachi and a one-way beat. Hey, hell driver.
All right, clearly those ultimate classic rock guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Number 9, Walk on Water. This is the album that they reunited the classic lineup that I saw at the Edge in Palo Alto. They rate this above No Place to Run. Bullshit. All right, let me see if I can find it first. Walk on Water. Hell Freezing Over was represented by the 1995 reunion of UFO's classic lineup of Phil Mogg, Michael Schenker, Pete Way, Paul Raymond, and Andy Parker. Not least because the album Walk on Water truly produced a few miraculous moments in the likes of A Self-Made Man, Venus, Darker Days, and Dreaming of Summer, briefly rekindling flames of UFO's 70s glories one more time. A little bit of Self-Made Man. I'm not saying this album sucks because it's a classic lineup and it's nice to have Schenker back, but it ain't better than No Place to Run. There ain't no fucking way.
I've worked so hard like Hyde on the chaos spirit. I found my man is quite complete. No sign of light or love, divine intervention. While I was scoring on your street, I am the demon of your darkest thoughts. I wound up to self-destruct.
All songs in this album written by Phil Mogg and Michael Schenker, except for Knock Knock, written by Phil Mogg and Pete Way. Listen to a little bit of that one. Probably the best song on the album.
The tide crashed on the shore as he held her in his arms. They swore they would stay together and forevermore. From this moment on, as they made their wedding vows, he couldn't know how life would change. Oh, and
Well, let this get to the chorus.
for now. Hey, bud, knock, 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 put a chain on the door. She's back again, but now she wants more. Knock, 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 the thief's back to steal.
All right, you get the idea. I think these guys are full of shit. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. All right, number 8, they rank the first UFO album above No Place to Run. You gotta be kidding me. Modern day listeners who blindly bought the company line about UFO's 1970 debut containing nothing but substandard space metal would no doubt be shocked by the churning proto-metallic beatings parlayed by Boogie and Follow You Home. Yes, other cuts like Unidentified Flying Object and Triacle People, is that how you pronounce it, fit the widely perceived stereotype, but UFO's savage reading of Eddie Cochran's Come On Everybody is cut from the same bare skin as Blue Cheer's take on Summertime Blues. Devastating. Here's a little bit of Come On Everybody. Number 8, I completely disagree.
Come on, everybody, and let's get together tonight. Got some money in my jeans, and I'm really gonna spend it right.
It's heavy, 1970. It's heavy, but
No more groovy.
it's not.
No more running around with the usual crew. Ah, who cares? Come on, everybody.
Which, by the way, they redid on Mechanics. All right, I don't agree with them on that one. So in number 7, speaking of Mechanics, number 7 is Ultimate Classic Rock's number 7 Mechanics. It's my second favorite UFO album. I think it's a great album. The cover art gracing 1982's Mechanics looked like the work of an 8-year-old with an unhealthy interest in heavy tools. Again, I disagree. I like the album cover. It's got a guitar neck. It's kind of a comic drawing of a work glove with his hand around a guitar neck, and the headstock is a wrench. Mechanics with an X. I saw him on this tour several times. I believe it was Russian UFO and Cheap Trick. I believe that was a Mechanics tour. I also saw them on opening for Ozzy right after Randy Rhoads died in Florida, and that was Mechanics tour as well. This album is fucking great. Let me find Mechanics before I read what they have to say about it. A lot of people don't agree with me that this album is so great, but I think it is. The cover art gracing 1982's mechanics look like the work of an 8-year-old with an unhealthy interest in heavy tools, fetish gear, and guitar necks. But the songs within notched another win for the British hard rock veterans as they braved the new decade ahead. A distinctly heavier guitar tone offset the interloping synthesizer, courtesy of former Wild Horse and future Gary Moore keyboardist Neil Carter, cropping up on the Rider, Terry, and other tunes for progress that didn't feel forced. This album is great. Oh, did I say they redid Come On Everybody? No, they did a different Eddie Cochran tune, something else. Isn't that an Eddie Cochran tune? The Rider, the opening tune. Listen to this riff. What an album. This is this is one of my favorite albums. Back Into My Life. Great tune. How about We Belong to the Night? Oh, Doing It All for You. Listen to this one. Wait till it gets to the chorus. Catchy as hell chorus. Paul Chapman. That's my favorite era of UFO, which I'm in the minority, but I love the Paul Chapman era.
Lights turn red to green. I haven't been spotted or seen.
We'll let it get to the chorus because the chorus is great.
Make it clean without a chase. There's something special, a certain feeling. I can't blow this one for sure. I'm getting nervous, anxious and edgy. This one's the last one, there'll be no more. But all I've got to do tonight, take the car and meet the man downtown.
Most of this album written by the great Pete Way. What a chorus. Listen to the riff coming out of the chorus. Oh, not that one. Let me get it back to the second chorus. Oh, back it up. Listen to this. That's fucking great. And We Belong to the Night. Just about every song in this album is great. Fade In. Also a ripoff of Cold Sweat. And how about Let It Rain? What a song, Let It Rain. Pete Way tune.
Two lovers in a desperate game.
Listen to this chorus. Let it get to this chorus. This album is fucking great.
He goes back home to his own charade.
Galloping guitars. Take a while to get to the chorus, but when it does, it's a hook.
He said, tender moments in a motel bed. When you press the point, he says, we'll see. But then what's the real mystery?
Come on.
You gotta take a little pain and
That's catchy as shit. That's Pete Way right there.
Do you just let it rain? Let it rain. Don't stop those tears falling again. Just let it rain. Let it rain. Now you see that love's just a game.
And how about this ballad here? What a song. Terry.
Terry, every time we talk, we just disagree. Every chance we had is passing by.
Yeah, I would have rated that higher than number 7. Or at least they had it in the top 10.
So don't let me know what I can see. Terry, is it over?
Nobody did the power ballads better than UFO. Nobody. They originated the power ballad. I know. Stairway to Heaven.
Child, you smile when you hit the tide, holding me captive for the world to see. Every now and then I'd see that
Great tune. All right. Number 6, Wild, the Willing, and the Innocent, which just happens to be my favorite UFO album. What do they say about Wild, the Willing, and the Innocent? Good luck making sense of its long-winded title. Well, it's a ripoff of Bruce Springsteen, Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, or whatever it's called. Or the cover art, which the cover art is kind of a Hypnosis ripoff cover. I don't think Hypnosis did it. But 1981's A Wild, the Willing, and the Innocent arguably represents the peak of UFO's 4-album run with Paul Chapman. Impressive numbers like Long Gone, Lonely Heart, and Couldn't Get Right actually do get it right, although the title track is a little too derivative of past glories, proving that if it quacks like UFO, walks like UFO, and rocks like UFO. Wild, the Willing, and the Innocent, my favorite UFO album. Let's see if I can find it here. Wild, the Willing, and Innocent starts with a W. Okay. Change. Listen, this album is great. A lot of people don't get this album. I think this is them at their creative peak. Great tune, Long Gone. Ugh. There's these little mellow interludes in this album like this, and it makes the album. Ugh, Long Gone, great tune. This whole album great, top to bottom, great album. What do they rank this one? Number 6? Well, it's a pretty good ranking, but I would have rated it a little bit higher. Well, I would have rated it number 1. Not a commercial album, but it's a super great album.
Found the flames of the city's heat in dark corners hiding their deceit. Desperation and the trouble flares, but I'm done spring running scared. And you're long gone down in this hell.
And how about this ballad? What a power ballad this is. I gotta let this one roll in its entirety because the solo coming out of it is just fantastic. This is kind of like Try Me from Lights Out. It's kind of Try Me too, but you gotta hear it, just let it go.
Hey babe, what we gonna do? No look behind me glances. Straight time, this time we'll take.
This is a tender jam of all tender jams.
Darling, it's been so long. in silence.
All right, I'll get it to the end. Here, let me get it to the last chorus. Let me get it. Oh, whoa.
Turn all violence.
All right, here we go. Right here.
Whisper on the wind. Locked in
Guys, this is possibly Paul Chapman's best guitar
Passion
solo.
all violence.
And one of the best UFO solos ever.
Locked in silence.
All right, here we come on, Paul, bring it in, baby. Oh, listen to that. Wait till he starts shredding. It's how shredding should be. It's good shredding, not just speed for speed's sake. Absolutely brilliant guitar solo. That, Vinnie Moore, and shove that you know where. Oh, please. All right. So number 5, they ranked No Heavy Petting. I won't disagree that No Heavy Petting is a good album, but I think you got to put Wild and Willing and Innocent higher up. Probably the weakest of UFO's indispensable 5 LPs, not that this makes it any less essential. 1976's No Heavy Petting was rushed into existence and amid the band's fast-growing tour schedule, even requiring songwriting contributions from one-and-done keyboardist Danny Peronell. Bassist Pete Way didn't help matters with the numbskull plot of On With the Action, but highlights like Natural Thing and I'm a Loser and Reasons Love ensured that all was forgiven in the end. All right, well, I think they just made their case for why this album shouldn't be number 5 of the best of the top UFO tunes. But there are some classic songs on this, but I mean, there's Natural Thing, of course, is a staple of the live album. You can't make it a top 5 with only 5 good songs on the album. I'm a Loser, great tune. Absolutely great tune. But after that, I mean, On With the Action is probably the rest of the album's kind of mediocre, I think. The song is great. Great ballad. Can You Roll Her? Mediocre. It's okay. It's not, doesn't suck, but all right. I disagree. It shouldn't be above Wild and Willing and Innocent or Mechanics, but all right. Number 4, Obsession. Even though fans and the band didn't know at the time, UFO's golden era would come to a close shortly after Obsession, and despite that's because Schenker leaves, and despite their continued ability to crank out exceptional heavy rockers, as if on autopilot, this very automation was hiding ever-deepening cracks in the band's armor, but not before the high-flying quintet struck Gold a few times via textbook headbangers like Only You Can Rock Me, Pack It Up, Cherry, even Heavily or Say Looking Out for number 1. Obsession's great album. I would put this would probably be like my number 4. Oh, it's their number 4 too. Well, there you go. Well, we kind of agree on that, I guess. Obsession, let's hear some song. Only You Can Rock Me, classics, one of the biggest hits, the ones they play all the time. Pack It Up and Go, good one. Looking Out for number 1's good. Orchestration. Album cover done by Hypnosis. And of course, Cherry. The great Pete Way bass part. Pardon me, I'm Burma's Fine Tecate again.
Gotta give my love for Cherry.
All right, number 3. A little bit more Cherry. You've heard this song. It's a great tune.
Just for pins. Wish I wasn't just passing through. Tell me your secrets. Tell me no one-way lying now. We are golden. We are golden.
All right, so they get number 3, Phenomenon, 1974, their third album, first one featuring Michael Schenker at age like 16 years old or something like that. It says, UFO's third LP, first with teenage guitar wonderkin Michael Schenker. Phenomenon chronicles the band's transition from fading space art rockers to rising no-fuss hard rockers. I would not have made this number 3, but it's got this on it. But one song doesn't mean it should be their third best album. But again, it's also got this one on it too, so I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. But this is the song that I like on this album. For some reason, I'm kind of partial to the UFO ballads. This song is great.
Long, long year I've sat in this place.
That being said, I wouldn't make this number 3. I'd probably put this at maybe number 6.
Find a reason, love's let me go. I've got it, time on my hands. Been drinking with a sailor boy. Been trying hard to understand. Lines here in my hand.
All right, number 3. Or excuse me, I'm at number 3 now. Number 2, we're almost done with this thing, friends. Number 2, they give to Force It, which has probably the best UFO album cover, which is a bunch of faucets on the album. A Hypnosis album. It's got it's got 2 people in the shower, what looks like it could be two dudes. It's a long-haired person. It looks kind of like Pete Way a little bit. It looks like two people in the shower making out. You're not really sure if they're dudes or girls or a guy and a girl, but there are faucets all in this bathroom. There's like all over the thing is faucets, and hence the title Force It, which is the kind of English, pronunciation of faucet. Faucet. Let's faucet, mate. Hey, don't faucet. Yeah, you get it? Okay. That's the humor of the great Storm Thorgerson. What's on Force It? Let me find Force It here. Force It's a great. I would have probably put Force It. It'd be up there in my top 5 probably. What's on Force It? Well, it's got Let It Roll, of course. I did not know this album was censored the cover was censored in the United States, supposedly. Bring Me With Confidence. After the career-defining success of Phenomenon, UFO really went for the kill on the following year's Force It. Though the album's titular pun, Faucet, on its Hypnosis-designed album cover, censored in the U.S., was lost on many fans. The music itself, however, left no doubt that the natural chemistry employed by film, blah, blah, blah.
Let it roll. Sheets get up and we're
It's also got this one, which is a great tune. Got Out in the Street, classic on the lot. Every song they play it all the time. It's on Strangers in the Night. Mother Mary also on Strangers in the Night. All right, I don't agree this should be number 2, but it's worthy of being high up there. And their number 1 ranking, I would probably rank this my number 3. Number 3? No, I'd rank this number 4. Well, I said Obsession was number 4. Actually, I think Lights Out I like a little bit better than Obsession. So I would put Obsession number 5, and I would put Lights Out number 4. But they say, barring the incomparable Strangers in the Night live album, now eligible for the studio, blah, 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 UFO's first Michael Schenker era, and by extension, their career reached its creative crescendo in 77's Lights Out. Here, the quintet committed timeless classics like the title track and the ballad Love to Love, as well as 70s British hard rock staples, Too Hot to Handle, Getting Ready, and Electric Phase. No, it wasn't perfect, but Lights Out captured and preserved the band's talents in its prime. This is a great album. I would again. I'd put this probably number 4 of my favorites. But it's got this. They on the Obsessions tour that I saw them open for Styx. Styx, UFO, and Ram Jam. They open with Electric Phase, which is one of the heaviest UFO tunes.
On the wires I can hear you coming.
Great, great,
The
great.
rush and the strumming. There's the electric phase. Ain't no teenage craze.
And of course, Love to Love. One of the best UFO. Wait a minute. Hold it. For some reason, Love to Love is not playing. Let me see if I can find another version of Love to Love. How about this? A little live version. But you know what song Love to Love is.
This is something called Love to Love.
But my favorite, a little bit of this. All right, you know this one. This is a great UFO tune. Probably one of the best UFO songs they have. But my favorite song on Lights Out, which is what I will end the show with, as I'll play it out in the closing credits. Well, try me here. Oh, please. Thank you for listening, friends. I hope you enjoyed this UFO track, worst to best, according to Ultimate Classic Rock, with a little commentary by your friend Michael Butler, comparison.
Tell me why we're never more than strangers.
I will be back on Friday or Saturday with another regular Rock and Roll Geek show. Thank you for listening, friends, and thank you so much for the donations. Please keep the donations coming. Without your donations, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death. I will thank you all personally, by name, on the next Rock and Roll Geek show. It's very much appreciated, friends. I cannot thank you enough. You can find this show at rockandrollgeek.com. Send me an email, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com, and let me know what you thought of this worst to best. If you agree with me, put in the subject line, Butler, you are right about your UFO. You sure know your UFO shit, motherfucker. Put that in the subject line. If you disagree, send me an email, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com, with the subject line, Butler, Vinny Moore rules and you suck. Put that in the subject line, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. All right. Find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. Find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. Find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek. Don't ask. We will talk to you Friday or Saturday, friends. I will let Michael Schenker and Pete Way and Phil Mogg and Andy Parker and Paul Raymond finish it off. Thank you for listening, friends. As my good friend and podcast mentor Dave Slusher says, I love you.
Cry me, oh, take me for a little while.
probably the best Michael Schenker solo that he has of all of his albums. Wait till you hear this solo. It'll fucking knock your balls off.
You say it's over, but for me it had just begun.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.